Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Why I Do What I Do. And thank you so much for tuning into 1 Minute Motivation community, or rather, 1 Minute Motivation page, to listen, learn, and grow with us every single week. My name is Asi, and I'm the founder of 1 Minute Motivation community. You know, our purpose is to connect you with individuals who can add value to our lives so we can understand our lives better. So, when we understand our life, we can face the challenges better than yesterday. So let me quickly give you an introduction about the speaker. She's a mother of two sons, and she is the editor and the managing director at Brides of Sri Lanka. Though she is a public figure, she is a lady of simplicity. Friends, please welcome Nelum Haththella.
Hi, Asita.
Hello, Nelum. Thank you so much, Nelum, for accepting my invitation.
Very much glad to be here.
So we have 30 minutes. Let's quickly dig into the questions, because one reason we stick with 30 minutes is our audience, they invest time, and time is precious. So that's why we are going to stick with 30 minutes and give powerful maximum productivity or other value to our audience. Especially when we talk about this topic. So many speak about feminism, woman empowerment, and why this topic is commonly spoken. Does it have to be specifically focus on one gender, or does men and women both gender needs to stand on equal footing? Is that the right way forward? Now, as a mother and as an entrepreneur, what is your definition on woman empowerment?
So, Asita, well, if you take the word empower, for example, it means to give someone the power, and women empowerment therefore means to give women the power to most often question, to reason, to most importantly involve them in the decision making processes, right? And there are many areas you can empower women in, for example, political, social, educational, economical, etc. Right? And in today's context, it is imperative to give women, empower our women to achieve sustainable development, especially in a country like ours, where the population's female representation is 52%, right? Which is higher than men, right? So, in my opinion, education is probably the number one factor which we must look at to empower women with knowledge and skills, and to participate in the development process. So, for me to define women empowerment, in my opinion, I see it as the process of empowering women through knowledge and skills, and raising them to be confident enough to feel that they are inferior to none, and to ensure their self growth, uh, to surpass their limitations, and entrusting them with the freedom, especially girls, with freedom to make the right decision, right? And so they can be of service to their families, to their communities, and to the nation.
Wow, I really love the part that you said, empowering them, meaning like raising them to be confident and inferior to none. So I really love that statement. Beautifully structured, beautifully structured. So there are many questions revolved around this topic, Nilum. I mean, something that I personally believe, and that resonates with you as well. Education is the key to unlock opportunities, right? And like you correctly said, less than 40% around the world provides equal opportunities to girls and boys with equal access to education. And when you talk about Sri Lanka, especially a country like us, girls' education has significantly improved over the last 2 decades. And I feel, this is my personal opinion, I feel
Yes.
every woman is the backbone of the family. And
Right.
when you educate a woman, you educate the whole family. And in
True.
your opinion, by empowering a woman, do you think you can create a healthier family that leads into a healthier society?
Of course, Asita. I mean, like you said, the woman is a homemaker, by nature. And but see, the thing is, I don't know if yes, we have drastically increased in numbers, where girls are being educated now as opposed to before. But then, see, 40 years ago, right, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights asserted that everyone has the right to education, right? But 40 years later, due to poverty or maybe financial difficulties, girls, most often in rural areas, in our country, are staying at home or are deprived of education so that their male siblings get to go to school, right? This is the truth, right? Because girls don't really have to study, but boys have to find means and have to have a job and so forth and look after family. So that is the notion we give to our children. Hence stems gender inequality there itself, right? So coming to gender equality, this is a term we Asian women have been battling with since our birth. Right, from our home environments where males are favored, and given priority, like a father sits at the head of the table and the mother will never sit there, and males are often served food first, and specialties like even the biggest piece of meat or anything that's special is first given to the boys in the family. And unfortunately, even in some religions, we become unholy once a month, right? Uh, um, and also in Sri Lanka, especially, right? There's this term that says "ruati duai katati putai." You
Yes.
must have heard of
Yes.
this.
Yes.
So, so what if you have a katati dua? Like so the term goes to say a pretty daughter and an outspoken son. So what if you have a daughter who's outspoken, right? Um, this is where society comes into play, right? So society decides that if she talks, she's boisterous, she's vociferous, and most often she's unfeminine. So this is the definition we give. We call it unfeminine if we do anything beyond what is normally done by a man, if we step out of our comfort zones. So,
Yes.
but if a boy raises a question or even argue or about something that they feel strongly about, even in a classroom or even in homes or even in public places, right? They are seen to be smart or having leadership qualities, or that's how you perceive a guy who does that or a boy who does that. Even if a man wants to talk about his sexual desires, he's manly, he's macho, and but at the
Yes.
moment a woman does so, she's promiscuous, right? So this is the underlying thing. So raised uh, we've been raised by our families to feel lesser as women, right? So if we step out of that place that is given to us, um, we may do wrong. That is a misconception that we all have. So the truth is, and then, but then again, coming to talk about that, if we are made to feel weak, why? Why are we weak, right? If you take sexual abuse, for example, right?
Yes.
Are men sexually abused, right? So why couldn't they fight back, or why didn't they fight back? Are they weak, right? So I have boys, I have two young boys who have a daughter, so we all know this, my
Yes.
boys can get abused, your daughter can get abused. So there is no difference whether I'm weak and that is why I'm going to be abused as a woman, or whether you are weak as a man and that's why you're going to be. So there is really nothing like that. It's just you are a human entity who could be weak or strong, period, right? So but unfortunately women are made to feel victims, because if they fight, it's unfeminine. Right? So
Yes.
the truth is, as much as a girl can be a victim of sexual abuse or any form of abuse, so can a boy be, right? um, See, the other thing is, talking about how we are raised,
Yes.
see, we are married off to men, right? Who also could be weak, right? But they are supposed to look after us. The reason we get married, quite honestly, we are not being married off for procreation here, right? We are married off because we are actually born a liability to our parents, right? So if you give birth to a son, everyone is enthusiastic. The moment you give birth to a girl, not so much, so now the reason you're being married off to a man is that he will look after you. Now, who makes us feel this way? Who makes us feel that we are secure being married to a man? Um, Unfortunately, it's our parents. And
Yes.
most often, it's a mother who is also, unfortunately, a woman who has been raised to feel exactly the same way,
Wow.
right? So unless we break this cycle, we are doomed. you know. Um, so uh, the first place we get in society when we're born is our home environment. So at least if now we can change the mindsets of parents to see their offspring not as male and female, but just as individuals of equal potential, you know, we may have hope for female empowerment, in the future, because no matter what bandwagon we get on, to go on to say, shout out women empowerment and, all this, and until we give our daughters and sisters the opportunity, we are failing as women. So please, I urge all mothers out there and fathers to educate your children, your daughters, educate your daughters, just not enough to be eligible for marriage, but to break barriers, to reach their potential, to be independent emotionally and physically, and finally become the sole owner of her own identity.
Wow, amazing. I really, really love the fact that you said you need to change the home environment and give equality to men and
Every
female.
child.
Yes, every child rather. Yeah, thank you. Amazing, amazing the way that you narrated the answer is. I loved it. I loved it, and I would say you actually touch upon certain elements of the next question. So, what does women empowerment looks like in Sri Lanka, in your own eyes?
Um, okay. Women. So we're complicated creatures, I must admit. But I want to touch, I want to touch a very sensitive subject. Some may not agree with me on this one, but this is my view, right?
Yeah.
So we women harp on this whole sisterhood, supporting women, empowering, but are we actually practicing what we preach, right? For example, let's take the recent general election, right? Kind of still the hot topic, yeah. So, in a, I mean, this election, right? In a country that produced the first female prime minister in the world, right? With 16 million plus voter base and a 52% female representation, right? Or the population. Uh,
Okay.
with the 20th Amendment, wait, yeah, it gets better. It gets better with every sentence. With the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, that provision to 25% legal quota for women in local government, right? Where 59 female candidates contested, we just managed to send in 9 female candidates to the parliament. This is a drop from the previous where it was 12, and now it's 9. I mean, from 12 to 9. So, uh, better yet, we don't even have a female to head the state ministry of women and children development, child development, right? So, I mean, so why is this? Why is this happening, that we as women are not really standing up for ourselves, or sending women out there, empowering them to make the decisions for us? Why is this not happening? The bitter truth is, Asita, that women are actually the ones who are promoting gender inequality. We harp on the fact that we are discriminated, all of this. But who is actually discriminating us? If you look at this general election, even it is us, not men, really, right? If you see, it is a woman who don't stand up for, if women don't stand up for fellow women, right? Take even a society, for example, right? Like take our society circles, right? Look at all the backstabbing, look at all the bitching, the catfighting, that goes on around women, right? There's jealousy, there's hatred, and there's jealousy. Sometimes it drives them to do harm to fellow women.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's very disturbing. I mean, the competition among women is so much. I mean, even among young girls in schools. I mean, you have a daughter, you should probably know this. Even in workplaces, right? Even in communities. I mean, you have never heard a man come and ask you, have you put on weight from a woman, right? I mean, how often does that happen? Or, why aren't you married yet? Why aren't you having children yet? Not often you hear men asking these questions. It's always a woman who will come and ask another woman these questions. So why put them through these things? We women put other women through mental agony, undeserving stress, and traumatic damage to women. So we don't wholeheartedly glorify another woman's success or achievements, really. We all have our social media walls, right? And the moment we are willing to share any the success of any globally acclaimed woman, we are willing to share their stories, or they share their posts, or reshare them, all of that. But the moment your friend, female friend starts a business, or has some achievement, we don't even share. Sometimes we don't even like them. We just walk past them.
Yes.
So that is where we, or as it is in Sri Lanka, where I, or the society I see, this is where we stand. So for crying out loud, we haven't even voted for our women. So coming to my next point, why, right? We are blinded by jealousy. We were raised to think that women don't have it in them. Comes back to my previous point, right? How we were raised. We think we don't have it in them to do it, and unfortunately, we don't believe in them either. So we don't believe in ourselves, right? If we don't allow women to be heard, men will not hear us.
Wow.
Right? And if we don't believe in women, men won't either, right? And if men don't believe in us, all these women empowerment things that we talk about, eliminating gender discrimination, achieving equal participation in decision and policy making, improving women's social and economic and political statuses, or gaining full access to education and eradicating female illiteracy, improving women's health and nutrition, and the list can go on. All of this that we talk as empowerment is gone.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So, my dear sisters, this is a message to all women out there. Unless we walk the talk, another 40 years from now, we will be still fighting gender inequality and trying to empower our women.
Wow, amazing. So it's like you need to help yourself and to build a better community. Amazing. So this is actually a question, or rather a question sent by one of our community members. She said that we have seen in the society women's self-esteem is increasing and growing stronger. And today women are not ready to suffer and compromise. Women who is educationally sound and financially well off does not see the requirement of depending on anyone. So what do you think about this statement?
So you're referring to marital commitment here, right?
Yes, I believe she is. Yes, yeah.
I get it. So the thing is, Asita, our evolvement over time, right, has now conditioned us to this notion that anything or anyone must be replaced if it doesn't serve its original purpose, right? See, if you take the era our grandparents lived in, or or even our parents for that matter, they were fixers, right? If something broke, they fixed it, right? If they broke a vase, they glued it, right? If a shoe was torn, they mended it, right? And if a marriage was on the rocks, they fixed it. So, or lived through it, in agony or whatnot, but they lived through it, they saw through it, the whole, they didn't walk out, Walkout wasn't really an option. But most often it was, I would say it's always, it was, or at least it was, women who stayed back in such marriages, no matter how difficult. Because, most often she was financially dependent, depending on the husband. Or society would scar her, because divorce back then was very much frowned upon. And or even her parents might not accept her back into their house or homes because due to the disgrace and the financial burden.
Yes.
I mean, back then, and also for the sake of children and their reputation in society. Or to narrow it down, basically, a woman didn't really have options, to walk out, and so she was simply powerless, right? And but come now to modern times, we certainly have come a long way as women, from then to now, and some extent we have empowered our women, right? From back then to now, I'm talking about, and yes, women and men have little tolerance for inconveniences now, right? See, a phone is broken now. You don't fix it, no, Asita, right? We buy the latest, next available phone. That's
Absolutely
our
right.
generation, right?
Yeah.
If a shoe is broken, no, we don't really mend it. When was the last time you mended a shoe? Right?
I don't
Exactly. You
remember.
don't know. Those people are not even there anymore, I
Yeah.
remember we had them when we were small, but those people are not even there anymore because people don't fix things; they just replace. And
Wow.
but and today it is less expensive to fix than to repair, right?
Yes.
And but irrespective, I mean, and call me old fashioned here, right? I don't think replacement in a marriage is the way to go about. But however, irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman, educated or not, financially sound or not, with highest self-esteem or not, no one should suffer in a marriage, right? And compromise is arguable, right? Because there is give and take in a marriage. Obviously, you have to work things out, but
Yeah.
suffering isn't accepted. So if women, I mean, this is exactly why we need to empower our women, because they do not have to depend on a man for their existence. You know, we as individuals should be there for ourselves, and if whether you have high self-esteem or not, you just don't have to depend on a man. This is where empowerment comes in. You raise your girls to stand on their 2 feet and have their own identity, which they only have a stronghold in.
Amazing. Beautifully narrated. Nelum, what I really love about that answer is don't replace, be a fixer.
Yes. I mean, I'm old fan. So marriage, I mean, you'll always try to fix things as opposed to just immediately replace, but that is probably not the social norm. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Nelum,
dropped
I
out.
think yes. Okay, we lost you. I think some
Sorry.
technical error happened. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so I mean, thank you so much for sharing your intelligence with us, Nelum. I mean, it's such a treat to have you here. Unfortunately, time is not a luxury that we don't have. Now we have just passed the 23rd minute. Now we are
Okay.
going to the second segment. The second segment, it's called Fire Five, which
Okay.
means that I am going to
Fire.
ask. Yes, fire, fire. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. So every answer should be in one word or one sentence. All right?
Okay. Okay. I'll
Okay,
try
so,
to talk a lot.
all right, are you ready?
Shoot.
Awesome. The
Fire away.
first question is, which son you are close to, eldest or the youngest?
This is a tricky one. Did my husband put you up to this? um, no, I'm close to both of them, obviously, because I believe that as parents, we should be best friends to our children so that they are able to come and talk to you about anything. My boys will come and talk to me about every nonsensical thing possible, from girls to this to that to anything. And
Right.
that's the opening I've given. That's the stage I've created for them where they're able to come and tell me anything. So I'm actually very close to both of them. But
Mhm.
if you are talking about resemblance and similarities, so hence I understand one better than the other. I'd say my second son, because he's like a carbon copy of me. So
Yeah.
I kind of know when he turns.
Right. Second question. Three things that you do in a traffic jam.
Oh dear, we'll be violating traffic laws here. So traffic jam, yeah. I do look at the phone, yes. Sometimes text. If I'm driving, I'd probably be looking around. I do get agitated sometimes, so I'll be tooting the horn as well if I see a little opening. Yeah, these are the things I do.
All right. The third question. What can we learn from animals when they are looking for food?
What can we learn from animals when they're looking for food?
Yeah.
You have a need, you fulfill it. Just like
Wow.
us.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. The fourth question. So you have a chance to meet Michelle Obama. Share two questions you asked from her.
Oh wow, she's one of my favorites as well. Two questions I'd ask her: how she keeps it all together. No matter what happens, no matter what she's been through, all of that, how she pulls it together. That is one thing I'd like to know. Um, uh, then I probably want to know what life in the White House was like.
Nice. Right. The final question now, Nelu. Three things that you don't like about yourself.
I pretty much have sort of bettered myself over the years from what I was back then to now. So there's not many things that I don't like about myself now, really, because whatever I didn't like about myself, I've changed and changed and tried to become better. But I think I'm still hot-tempered. I get angry very immediately, and I also forgive very fast. So like it sort of balances out. But the fact that I just quickly get angry is one thing I hate about myself. And also the fact that I have very little patience with people, especially if they're slow. Even if they talk slow, I have very little patience. So I would like to change that and be a little more tolerant of slow people, or people for that matter.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Awesome, Nelum. Thank you so much, and thank you very much. It's a treat to have you here with us and learning from you. And I believe your answers that you shared, you have given a complete 360-degree perspective about women empowerment, complete different point of view. And I am so glad I invited you to share this message with our community. And I thank each one of you, my community of friends, members, for investing your precious time with us. And I deeply appreciate your love. And we are a community who fueled and nourished by the love and energy that you are presenting. And thank you so much, friends. If you really think that this discussion will help to change someone's life, please do share with them, leave a comment and suggestions and in the comment section, so we can learn and grow with each other, and we can serve you better. So until next time, be phenomenal. Sending a lot of love and thank you so much again, Nelum, for
Thank you
investing time
for
with us.
giving me this platform to talk on this subject that it was very close to my heart. Thank you, Asita. Thank you very much. And
Thank you
thank you
very
all
much.
for watching.
Thank you.